Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We from Group 8. We will present about Qiyas. We will discuss about definition of Qiyas, legal basis of Qiyas, pillars of Qiyas, types of Qiyas, validity of Qiyas, acceptance and rejection of Qiyas, and the last one is example of Qiyas.
The definition of Qiyas is, according to the language, the word Qiyas comes from the root koso yakisu kiasan. The meaning of Qiyas, in simple terms, is measurements, while in terminology, Qiyas can be understood as measuring or determining the length, weight, or quality of something. One word Qiyas means measuring or estimating one thing against another. Whereas in terminology, the ulama also define it with different interpretation, but in both terms, the essence is the same. Here are some of those definitions. The first is from Al-Shafi'i. Define Qiyas as attempt to find ruling on something that has been revealed in the Quran and Al-Hadith. More than that, Al-Shafi'i equated the idea of Qiyas with ijtihad. Second is the definition given by Sodar Syahrifah. Is prominent ulama usul fiqh, mazhab Hanafi. It means applying the original ruling to the branch ruling because of the unity of the ilat, which cannot be achieved if it is done with linguistic approach. Third is definition from Abu al-Husain al-Basri. Formulated Qiyas as follows. Applying the law which is found in the furu to the ilat which is found in the original which is inferred from the original law. Fourth, the definition from Al-Amisi define Qiyas as equating the ilat that exists in the furu with the ilat that exists in the original which is inferred from the original law. Fifth, the majority of ulama Al-Shafi'iyah define Qiyas that bringing an unknown law to known law in order to establish a law for both of them or to negate a law for both of them because of something that is stated for both of them, whether it is law or an attribute. The last is the definition from Wahbah al-Zuhaili. Define that Qiyas equating something that is not mentioned in the Nas with something that is mentioned in Nas because of the unity of the ruling between them. The legal basis of Qiyas. The first is Al-Quran. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala say in Quran Surah An-Nisa verse 59 can be understood that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala instruct Muslim to determine everything based on Al-Quran and Al-Hadith. If there is nothing in the Quran and Al-Hadith, let's follow the opinion of Wali Amri. If there is no opinion of Wali Amri, may determine the law by returning it to the Quran and Al-Hadith, namely by connecting or comparing it with what is contained in the Quran and Al-Hadith. In this case, many ways can be done including by doing Qiyas. Second is Al-Hadith. The Hadith narrates how Mu'adz bin Jabal, appointed as governor of Yemen by Rasulullah SAW, outlined his approach by determining the law in situations. He prioritized the Quran, followed by the Sunnah, and if not found, he will resort to ijtihad using his intellect. Rasulullah SAW praised this approach, indicating that ijtihad can be employed when Quranic verse and Hadith are insufficient, highlighting the flexibility within Islamic jurisprudence, including methods like Qiyas. The third is the action of the Prophet companions. The companions of the Prophet ﷺ frequently apply Qiyas to the law in the situation where there was no explicit guidance. For instance, the reason Abu Bakr appointment as Khalif based on his prior role as the Prophet leader during illness, inferring the Prophet's certification with him. Khalif Umar bin Khattab emphasized the importance of understanding issues not addressed in the Quran or Sunnah and encouraged the use of Qiyas, advising judges to seek example and adhere to the most righteous opinion in the sight of Allah. The fourth is logically. According to the majority of scholars of Usul Fiqh, All laws are designed to benefit mankind. When a mujtahid identifies a benefit known as ilat in ruling prescribed by the text, and this ilat is also present in the case under consideration, the mujtahid equates the law of the case with the law in the text. This is based on the similarity of the ilat between the two cases. Next is the pillar of Qiyas. The pillar of Qiyas, as defined above, encompasses four main elements. The first is asal. This refers to an object already determined by textual sources like the Quran, Hadith, or Ijma, serving as the benchmark for rulings. For example, the prohibition of whiskey is compared with alcohol, with the verse 90 until 91 of Surah Al-Maidah serving as the asal. Secondly is far'u or branch. This denotes something lacking textual evidence, such as whiskey in the aforementioned case. Third is asal syar'i. It's a legal ruling derived from a text or consensus applied to the far'u. For instance, the prohibition of drinking alcohol is applied to the whiskey. The fourth is illat. This represents a characteristic serving as a motive in determining the law. In the case of alcohol, intoxication serves as the ilat.
The types of Qiyas. Wabah al-Zuhaili proposed categorizing Qiyas based on the comparison of ilat or reasoning found in the ashal or original case for analogy, and it's branched into three categories. The first one is Qiyas Aulawi, which is in this Qiyas, the ruling of the far'u is stronger than that of the ashal because the ilat in the far'u is stronger. For instance, the prohibition of hitting parents is stronger than saying because the harm caused by hitting is greater. And the second is Qiyas Musawi. The ruling on the far'u is of equal quality to the ashal because the ilat in both cases in the same. For example, like the prohibition of consuming or pens wealthy unjustly is equated to burning it, as both action entail the same injustice. And third is Qiyas al-Adna. This Qiyas involves a far'u with a weaker ilat than the ashal. For example, although both beer liquor and hammer liquor have intoxicating properties, the intoxicating property of beer liquor is weaker than that of hammer liquor, which is forbidden. Next one is still types of Qiyas. Qiyas can be categorized based on the clarity of ilat as a legal basis. The first one is Qiyas al-Jali. This Qiyas has a clear ilat determined by the text, or it's certain that there's no difference in the ilat between the original and the far'u. For example, making an analogy between hitting parents and saying with the ilat of harming parents. And the second is Qiyas al-Kafi. In this Qiyas, the ilat mentioned in the text, for instance, analogizing between killing with a heavy object and killing with a sharp object in applying the ruling of Qisas, where both involve intentional killing with hostility. In such cases, the ilat of the original ruling is considered stronger than that of the far'u ruling. Validity of Qiyas. The validity of Qiyas pertains to its applicability in determining Islamic law for new situation not directly addressed in the Quran, Sunnah, or Ijma. Islamic scholars hold diverse views on the validity of Qiyas. Some consider it a valid source of law necessary for addressing new circumstances lacking precedent in primary sources. However, criticisms exist regarding the subjective nature of human reasoning in Qiyas application, the risk of misinterpreting textual source, and the inability to cover all scenarios, potentially leading to legal gaps. This differing perspective illustrate the diversity within the Islamic legal tradition, with some viewing Qiyas as a crucial tool for legal development, while others approach it cautiously due to the risk of human error and subjectivity. Acceptance and rejection of qiyas. In the discourse of the acceptance of qiyas as a legal argument in Sharia, Muhammad Abu Zahra delineated three groups. Number one, the majority of scholars who consider qiyas a valid source of Sharia law. They employ qiyas when there's no clear ruling in the Quran, Hadith, or scholarly consensus within reasonable limits. The second is the Zahiriyah, Shi'ah, and Imamiyah, scholars who outright reject qiyas. They argue against the necessity of identifying the reason behind a law and deem it unnecessary. And third, a group that uses qiyas cautiously, sometimes combining elements with no clear common ilat or reason. They may overemphasize qiyas, restricting the general meaning of certain Quranic verses and hadith. Some group like Shia scholars and certain early Islamic schools reject qiyas based on Quranic verses, cautioning against following what's not explicitly known and avoiding presumption. They also cite a hadith warning against establishing laws without clear basis, attributing the rejection of qiyas to the attitude of certain combination who criticize its use. Despite some combination silence on the matter, it's interpreted as lazy disapproval of qiyas. Umar ibn Khattab advised to avoid those who use qiyas without a sound of basis, further emphasize the importance of adhering to the sunnah and avoiding erroneous practices. The next one is example of qiyas. Firstly, the prohibition of khamr or wine in Surah Al-Ma'idah is based on its intoxicating effect, understood by mujtahids. They equated this effect to other drinks like nabidh, leading to their prohibition as well. Similarly, in modern times, narcotics can be equated to alcohol in terms of prohibition due to their intoxicating nature. Secondly, the Prophet ﷺ prohibited buying goods or proposing to women already bought or proposed to buy, order to prevent potential harm or conflict. This reasoning can be extended to other scenarios like hiring someone already hired by another to avoid discard. Thirdly, the prohibition of transaction during the Friday prayer, called in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, aims to prevent distraction from prayer obligation. This reasoning applies to other activities like lending, borrowing, or administrative matters, all prohibited for the same distraction effect as mentioned in the Quran. Thank you, I hope you like it, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.